scientific death.
During the height of the Second World War, London was plunged into darkness. Air raid wardens spent their nights patrolling the pitch-black streets of Highgate, enforcing the blackout. In the corner of Pond Square, one of these wardens stumbled into a local legend. Stepping through the cold, he heard a sudden, frantic squawking. A half-plucked chicken was running wildly in circles. Yet when the warden chased the bird, hoping to catch a rare wartime dinner, it simply vanished into thin air. He wasn't the last to see it. In the 1960s, a motorist with a broken car spotted the same mangy fowl. A decade later, a couple on a park bench reported a plucked bird flapping furiously before it dissipated into the night. Every ghost story has an origin. The shrieking phantom of Pond Square tracks back to a single experiment conducted by one of the sharpest analytical minds in European history. That mind belonged to Sir Francis Bacon. Today, we know him as the father of empiricism, a statesman and philosopher who dedicated his life to replacing ancient superstition with rigorous, unfeeling logic. This diagram shows the shift Bacon engineered. He shattered the old model of scientific dogma, a system of top-down inherited rules, and replaced it with a bottom-up accumulation of raw data points. You had to gather evidence first, and only then draw your conclusions. This specific framework for demanding inductive reasoning remains the central foundation for all modern scientific methodology today. It is a strange outcome, then, that the man who authored the ultimate rulebook for destroying superstition would leave behind a story about a haunted chicken. For most of his life, Bacon was a titan of royal politics. He served as both Attorney General and Lord Chancellor under King James I, navigating the court in decorated carriages and wielding immense influence over the state. But his political career ended in catastrophe. In 1621, his rivals cornered him with bribery charges, resulting in a heavy fine and permanent banishment from Parliament. This public disgrace forced Bacon to retreat from the courts. Stripped of his power, he spent his remaining years focused on natural philosophy, the precursor to what we now call science. Without this total political ruin, Bacon might never have found the isolation required to conduct the hands-on experiments that would eventually change human history. On a snowy day in April 1626, Bacon was riding through Highgate with the king's physician, Dr. Winterbourne. Looking out at the frost, Bacon pitched an idea. Everyone knew salt could preserve meat, but Bacon hypothesized that extreme cold could achieve the same result by slowing the natural process of decay. Eager to test the theory, he stopped the carriage at Pond Square. He bought a chicken from a local woman, had it gutted, and stood in the freezing air packing the cavity of the plucked bird with ground snow. The exposure to the spring freeze took a toll. Before they could return to London, Bacon was overcome by a severe chill and had to be taken to a nearby estate to recover. From a bed at Arundel House, he dictated a final letter to his friend. He apologized for his illness, but proudly noted that the freezing experiment itself had succeeded excellently well. Just a few days later, Bacon died of pneumonia. He had sacrificed his life for a specific piece of data. In doing so, he became a literal martyr for the empirical process he had championed. Bacon was absolutely right about the mechanics. Cold temperatures stall the bacterial decay of fresh meat. Centuries later, an American inventor named Clarence Birdseye recognized the commercial potential of this exact freezing process. This discovery birthed the modern frozen food industry, filling grocery stores and household kitchens with preserved meals across the globe. Because of that initial, frantic test in the snow, humanity developed the capacity to store calories for months at a time, removing the ancient requirement to consume food only during the season it was harvested. We took Bacon's data and built a global infrastructure of preservation, and yet the residents of Highgate still whisper about a frantic, shrieking bird haunting the square. While Bacon the man remains in a silent grave, his experimental subject reportedly continues to shriek across the square where it died. Bacon successfully gave humanity the rigorous scientific tools to master the physical world, but the enduring chicken legend proves our unshakable desire to hold on to a ridiculous supernatural myth.